Shail, it's such a pleasure to welcome you.
Thank you, Mateen. Pleasure to be here.
Great work. Where you're working is I think, absolutely the need of the hour, especially in India. You're focusing on higher education and vocational training after high school to see how these kids could be ready for employment and obviously for further training. And you said that earlier in our conversation that you had the opportunity to work at UC Berkeley and UC San Diego. You learned a lot of things from here, and obviously at the Son of the Soil you want to see these things being implemented for the betterment of the future generations in India. So I'll leave it up to you to take up how Nalanda 2.0 started.
Great. No, thanks, Mateen. It's maybe a brief background to what got me here. So I went to IIT Kharagpur for my undergraduate. It was a great 4 years of my experience. And I left with great memories and also great friends, but also with a nagging question, could our academic experiences be better or much better? So I wanted to do something about this question. So since I came to Silicon Valley, in 1991, I've been volunteering for IIT Kharagpur and its alumni network, as well as Pan-IIT alumni movements. As a result of these volunteering efforts, I realized I was deeply passionate about higher education. So I quit my role as Senior Director of Corporate Strategic Planning at Lam Research to join UC Berkeley. And I was really fortunate to work with faculty members and deans and university leaders from across the campus. And it struck me their deep commitment to student learning outcomes, conducting research, and making an impact to the society was really what's the right word? Infectious. And I asked myself a question: how come India, after 65 years of independence, does not have even one world-class multidisciplinary research university like Berkeley or Stanford? As a community, as a society, we value education a lot. So in 2014, I decided to write a book about it after working at Berkeley and UC San Diego for about 6 years. And I'm really happy to say that earlier this year, a Nobel laureate presented my book to Prime Minister Modi. But late last year, I launched a nonprofit called Nalanda 2.0. It's focused on making India's higher education system world-class. Why does higher education system matter? And I think you made a very good point, which is sort of the central thesis to my book as well as to the nonprofit, which is in the next 35 to 50 years, India has to prepare and educate 700 million to 1.3 billion young men and women for their lives and careers. This is India's defining challenge and opportunity of the 21st century. If we get this right, India will be a golden India. I'm hoping for that.
Yeah. Very good point. You are a product of IIT Kharagpur. Okay, I think it was a great vision to establish IITs, 50 years ago, and we see the fruits of the labor, across US and across the world. Why couldn't we replicate that to more IITs? I know we started a little bit more, but the concern from again the alumni of IIT is that the value will go down the more number of schools you open. But why does it have to be so? Is it because we don't have, like you said, a good research institution, good research faculty, people not interested who are here going back and teaching, or the system is so endemic that it's difficult to sustain good faculty in India for a long time?
That's a great question. So IITs, there were 5 IITs till the late mid 1990s. Then IIT Guwahati was established, and so on. It's expanded quite a bit since then. I think the key question in this replication of the IIT model is we haven't really fundamentally asked, is the IIT model still relevant to India? If you really think about it, IITs are very engineering and science focused. They're siloed organization. And India's premier institutions like IIMs or AIMS or take other few are again very unidimensional institutions. I mentioned in my panel discussion, a lot of innovation and research is happening at the intersection of boundaries. So economics faculty, business faculty working with science and engineering faculty, or even medical faculty working on matters related to medical diagnostics tools, if you will. the interdisciplinary nature of the research innovation is really critical. And by design, we have siloed these and not available. That opportunity is missing from the student learning outcome perspective, because students don't have that opportunity to learn in that environment, or do research and innovation around that environment. Now, Berkeley, where we are sitting today, is a world-class multidisciplinary research university, and that environment exists. And that's an attractive environment to attract the talent who want to work in this environment, so a physics faculty wants to work with the biology faculty or the computer science faculty or the best faculty in each field to solve a problem that they want to solve, but they alone can't solve. So I think it's time for us to reassess that model and say, instead of replicating IITs that are single field siloed institutions, to really create multidisciplinary research universities. So research is important, multidisciplinary is important, world class is important. All three things are important, and that will raise the level of excellence, and it'll spur the research innovation and startup ecosystem in India, which is really needed for a lot of other things.
So where does your efforts really focus to make a difference when it comes to Nalanda 2.0?
So so Nalanda 2.0 is looking at the entire system, higher education system, and saying there are 5 big ideas that can transform India's higher education system. If we do that, we can essentially promise and deliver 100% access to excellent education to everybody, which is like the holy grail, if you will, for higher education. By the way, it's not unachievable. In fact, it's been done. It's been done in the US. In fact, California is a really good example of how universal access to excellent education has been made possible by a combination of having this, basically a California master plan of community colleges, the California State University system, and the UC system. Together, they are providing 80% of the Californians with the best higher education that the world can offer. So we are focusing on the same 5 big ideas, not in addition to the California Master Plan. India needs 50 to 100 world-class multidisciplinary research universities. We're also focused on getting politicians, government leaders to recognize that there are certain British Raj legacy rules and regulations that are still shackling the system. We need to remove them so that the system can actually get better. The fourth one is really leveraging technology, right? We have massive open online courses available. I mean, companies have done really well. Coursera, edX, Udacity, and so on and so forth. We need to take advantage of those platforms, the blended learning, adapted learning, personalized learning, really take advantage of innovation that's happening in the learning side, which will allow us to make this education, excellent education, to all available, especially piggyback on the Digital India initiative, right? I mean, that's a pretty big initiative, and if it's successful in reaching the every nook and corner of India, essentially you're providing with MOOCs and similar technologies, you can essentially provide an opportunity for everybody in India to have excellent education. The last point that I have and that I'll be focusing on is to recognize and implement policies that will attract the best and the brightest talent to join faculty in India. It's no surprise Berkeley is great because of its faculty members. In fact, great faculty attract great students. No secret. It's a well-established formula for success in Berkeley, in Stanford, in every top research university, that you need to have great faculty. Now, what attracts a great faculty? A is the structure. It's you're working in a multidisciplinary setup, but you're also working the best in each field. So that's very attractive. And also what's attractive is all of these systems have created a market-based compensation. That means if you're best and the brightest, Google wants to hire you, and so does another technology company, and so does Berkeley. How do you compete with them? You can't just compete with them on promises or some non-monetary. Monetary compensation does play a role. So market-based compensation is a very important element, but equally important is merit-based incentives and accountability system, that if you do really well, you get rewarded really well. If you don't do well, you're at risk of not getting your tenure. So they're both ends, right? I mean, so these 5 ideas is what we are focusing on Nalanda 2.0. It's an ambitious goal, but I think India's youth, the opportunities and challenges deserve something of that nature. of that scale.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree with you more. Wishing you all the best. Thank you so
you.
much.
Thank you, Mateen.